there are many other...
Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from London. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. I'm Ollie Barrett, and coming up we've got updates for you on stories developing around the world. First, the headlines. Fresh clashes break out between the Taliban and the National Resistance Front in Afghanistan's Panjshir province. This after reports that 7 Taliban fighters were killed in a failed attack on Monday. Qatar urges the Taliban to ensure safe passage for those wanting to leave Afghanistan after the end of US-led evacuations.
That was the choice, the real choice, between leaving or escalating. I was not going to extend this forever war.
Amid sharp criticism over the US withdrawal from Afghanistan, President Joe Biden says it was the best available option to end both the United States' longest war and decades of nation building. Simon Gass, one of the UK's most senior intelligence chiefs, holds talks with the Taliban leadership over safe passage for British nationals and Afghans who worked with UK forces. And Chinese students get educated in so-called Xi Jinping Thought as the Communist Party aims to extend his political ideology into the national curriculum. Well, while evacuations led by the US have ended in Afghanistan, the United Kingdom is in talks with the Taliban to secure safe passage out of the country for a number of British nationals and Afghans still there. The talks between senior Taliban members and UK officials are taking place in Doha. The Defence Secretary here in the UK has told members of Parliament that between 150 to 250 people are eligible for relocation but are still there, as well as their family members. This comes after the Taliban pledged to allow further departures. The spokesperson for number 10 Downing Street said the Special Representative for Afghan Transition, Simon Gass, has travelled to Doha and is meeting with senior Taliban representatives. In addition to the talks with the Taliban, the UK government says it's sending 15 crisis response specialists to Pakistan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan to assist in getting more people to the UK. They're expected to arrive in the next 48 hours with a focus on helping UK nationals, interpreters and Afghan allies who were employed by the UK and Afghans judged most at risk. On Tuesday, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said the UK needed to face the changing situation in Afghanistan and work with other countries to exercise a moderating influence on the Taliban. The UK, however, has also said it's ready to launch strikes at the ISIS-K terror network in Afghanistan after the US revealed there are as many as 2,000 fighters of the group in the country. The Islamic State's Afghanistan affiliate had claimed responsibility for the deadly twin blasts at Kabul airport, in which nearly 200 people were killed on Thursday. But as it's confirmed the UK is in talks with the Taliban in Doha, let's cross live to my colleague Chris Jones for more now. And Chris, tell us, what exactly do we know about the talks between the UK and the Taliban?
Well, as you've mentioned, we know Sir Simon Gass has travelled
to Doha to speak to Taliban officials over the evacuation of those who have kind of been left behind. The British government has evacuated so far around 15,000 people from Kabul in Afghanistan. The estimation is around that 200 people are left remaining there, and the talks really are going to be focusing on how the UK can get those people out into safety. The Taliban have pledged to allow those people who are eligible to leave Afghanistan, but the British government very much remains cautious and will want this deal to be kind of put forward and to go ahead as soon as possible.
OK, Chris, but what does this tell us about how the UK government is going to deal with the Taliban more generally?
Well, it doesn't tell us a whole lot, to be honest. However, what it does tell us is that diplomacy and talks are going to be kind of relied on a lot more than they kind of previously have in the last 20 years or so. As we've mentioned, Sir Simon Gass has gone to Doha to speak to Taliban officials now, and the Taliban have pledged to allow those who are eligible to leave Afghanistan to leave. However, the government is very much saying that their actions will kind of speak louder than words, and the UK government is also being careful not to give the Taliban any legitimacy with these talks that are going ahead in Doha. So we also don't know what else is being talked about at these meetings. So for now, it very much seems as though the focus is on getting those who are eligible to the UK out and to safety.
OK, Chris, thank you. That's Chris Jones, my colleague, reporting from London. Now, international diplomacy, as we've been hearing from Chris, has its work cut out in Afghanistan. Some nations are wary of recognising a Taliban government, while others are calling for an inclusive government. One such country is Qatar, which emerged as a key player during the Taliban's negotiations with the West. No country has recognised the Taliban as the official government of Afghanistan yet after their capture of Kabul. Qatar's foreign minister, though, warns that isolating the Taliban could lead to further instability. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani has called on the hardline group to form an inclusive government, while also urging nations to engage with the Taliban in order to address security and socio-economic concerns. Qatar's foreign minister said the group had showed openness towards the idea of an inclusive government. Doha has hosted the Taliban's political office since 2013.
I believe that isolation is not an answer, yet the recognition is still not a priority for us. So this is given our assessment that Taliban being isolated in 1996 has led us to the situation that we were in previously in Afghanistan. Yet we have seen that the engagement can give us some positive results.
Qatar's foreign minister is also warning the Taliban against any rise of terrorism after the US withdrawal from the country.
وأكدنا على أهمية التعاون في مجال مكافحة الإرهاب، ولا شك أن أفغانستان تمر في مرحلة حرجة، وشددنا على أهمية أن تقوم طالبان أيضا بإبداء التعاون في هذا المجال والوفاء بالتزاماتها في هذا المجال.
After discussing the situation in Afghanistan with his Qatari counterpart in Doha, similar comments were echoed by German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas. Maas says there is no way around talks with the Taliban and says instability in Afghanistan will only favour terror.
Ich persönlich glaube, es führt überhaupt kein Weg vorbei an Gesprächen mit den Taliban. Zum einen, weil wir ganz praktisch Dinge lösen müssen, wie den Weiterbetrieb des Flughafens, und zum anderen, weil wir uns Instabilität in Afghanistan schlichtweg überhaupt nicht leisten können, denn sie würde den Terrorismus begünstigen und sich auch massiv auf die Nachbarstaaten Afghanistans auswirken.
While the US and its NATO allies have completed their military withdrawal from Kabul, there are a number of Afghans still awaiting evacuation. To airlift those left behind, talks are ongoing as to who will now run Kabul airport. Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait and Bahrain have been instrumental during evacuation flights. Nearly 40% of all evacuees were moved out via Qatar. And now talks on Qatar providing technical assistance to the Taliban to run Kabul airport are underway. The UK and US have already moved their Afghan missions to Doha, presenting itself as a regional mediator. Doha may therefore have a major role to play in shaping Afghanistan's future. Well, the Taliban may have taken over Kabul, the airport, and most of the country, but one province remains out of reach. It's the Panjshir Valley. Fresh clashes between the Taliban and the National Resistance Front have broken out in parts of the Panjshir province. Local sources say clashes have also broken out in the Jabal Saraj district of Parwan province, Kawak Panjshir and Andab districts of Baglan province. Earlier, vehicles carrying Taliban reinforcements were seen driving through the valley after clashes with militia fighters killed at least 7 people on Monday. Fahim Dashti, a spokesman for the National Resistance Forces, a group loyal to local leader Ahmad Massoud, said that the fighting occurred at the western entrance to the valley. Dashti said the attack may have been a test to gauge the valley's defences. While at least 7 Taliban members were killed, 2 members of the NRF were also wounded.
Last night there was an attack by Taliban at the entrance of the Panjshir Valley. They may have tried to test their luck to enter in Panjshir, but they were unlucky. They have lost 7 or 8 and the same number wounded. Unfortunately, a couple of resistance personnel also were wounded.
Massoud, who is the son of the former anti-Soviet Mujahideen commander Ahmad Shah Massoud, is leading the resistance fighters in the Panjshir Valley. He commands a force of several thousand, made up of local militias and remnants of the Afghan army and special forces units who managed to escape before the Taliban captured Kabul. Massoud has called for a negotiated settlement with the Taliban, but also says his forces will resist if their province is attacked. A significant force of Taliban fighters have been moved to the area. Serious bloodshed has been avoided so far as the two sides attempt to engage in negotiations. Panjshir is a narrow valley in the Hindu Kush Mountains, located approximately 140 kilometres north of Kabul. It has limited entry points and its geography offers a natural advantage. The city of just 3,600 is currently surrounded by Taliban fighters. The northwest province has shown resistance to outside interference for over 4 decades. For more on this story, our correspondent in Afghanistan, Anas Malik, has sent us this report from Kabul.
The situation in the province of Panjshir remains uncertain, with the Taliban launching a fresh offensive on the 30th of August. We've seen that the resistance front has been pushing, or rather trying to push back the Taliban, but the Taliban are now claiming to have entered the Panjshir Valley, and they claim to have taken over the Shutal district, that is the entrance to the Panjshir province. This is a claim by the Taliban that is yet to be independently verified. Sources tell me that about 8 to 10 Taliban men have been killed in these recent offensives, whereas about 10 to 15 people from Panjshir have also been killed. We saw that the talks between factions of Panjshir and Taliban have failed. Amir Khan Muttaqi, the head of Dawa and Guidance Commission, has publicly announced in a voice note as well that the talks have failed. There were talks that were ongoing until last week, where the two sides had agreed to not attack each other's position and to go for another round of talks on this past Friday, but that did not happen. Anas Malik in Kabul, Afghanistan, for WION World is One.
Anas Malik reporting for WION from Kabul there. Now, in defence of his administration's departure from Afghanistan, US President Joe Biden has declared the war a success, calling it a wise decision despite facing tough questions about the emergency exit. Joe Biden is the fourth US president and sitting commander-in-chief for the war against the Taliban, which has now ended after 2 decades. Biden defended his decision to leave Afghanistan as the best decision for America in an address to the nation.
My fellow Americans, the war in Afghanistan is now over. I'm the fourth president who has faced the issue of whether and when to end this war. When I was running for president, I made a commitment to the American people that I would end this war. And today, I've honored that commitment. It was time to be honest with the American people again. That was the choice, the real choice, between leaving or escalating. I was not going to extend this forever war, and I was not extending a forever exit. The decision to end the military airlift operations at Kabul airport was based on the unanimous recommendation of my civilian and military advisors.
Called the evacuation from Kabul an extraordinary success. This follows 2 weeks of evacuation flights, which helped take out over 120,000 US citizens, foreigners and Afghans after the Taliban regained control of the country.
90% of Americans in Afghanistan who wanted to leave were able to leave. And for those remaining Americans, there is no deadline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out. Foreign policy has guided our nation the last 2 decades. We've got to learn from our mistakes. To me, there are 2 that are paramount. First, we must set missions with clear, achievable goals, not ones we'll never reach. And second, we must stay clearly focused on the fundamental national security interest of the United States of America.
And addressing another key concern, Biden warned ISIS-K that they would be pursued. The hardline Islamist group in Afghanistan killed 13 US military members in a suicide blast this month.
And to ISIS-K, we are not done with you yet. As Commander-in-Chief, I firmly believe the best path to guard our safety and our security lies in a tough, unforgiving, targeted, precise strategy that goes after terror where it is today, not where it was 2 decades ago. That's what's in our national interest.
I should say, by the way, that the suicide blast was last month, now that we've moved into September. 25-year-old Fanous Basir was a former player in the Afghanistan women's national soccer team. Today, in France, after fleeing her homeland, Basir says she saw no future for herself under Taliban rule. A large contingent of current players and staff were evacuated on board an Australian military aircraft.
There is no future for women in Afghanistan for now, for many years ago. So all the things become a zero. Everything destroyed for future. With Taliban, there is no future.
Fanous Basir is 25 years old, a civil engineer, and a former member of Afghanistan's national women's soccer team. Now, the soccer team is no more, and she managed to flee her homeland. A former teammate is urging players still in Afghanistan to burn their uniforms and delete their social media accounts. We found Basir at a refugee processing center in France.
We will not prepare by mentally. We don't even know. Our parents were prepared because they faced these things before, like in Mujahideen time and before then civil war in Afghanistan. But this generation was not prepared mentally. Leaving your country, your dreams, your home, everything is so hard for everyone because we have lots of hope, lots of future plans. Now it's all, we will start from zero. I really don't know what will be do with my. Then I want to start my continue my studying and my field. I want to work what I was working in Afghanistan, because I study hard, and we waste our 20 years of life to come to the point. But I don't know what will be done in the future in here.
Some Taliban officials have said the group will allow more freedoms for women than the last time the group was in power, but in some places they've told women that they can't venture outside without a male guardian. Basir says this would mean bringing her father or brother with her every time she went to work. Instead, her parents fled with her.
Next to China. Schools there have reopened across the country, and students have a new syllabus, the Xi Jinping Thought. As the name suggests, the pupils are being taught about the life and philosophies of President Xi Jinping. The move comes as China's ruling Communist Party aims to make sure children as young as 7 are being taught Xi's political ideology. The Education Ministry's circular was clear. It said, and I quote, "Teachers must plant the seeds of loving the party, the country and socialism in young hearts." The revamped textbooks are full of the Chinese president's quotes and pictures of him smiling. Broadly, the chapters encompass 14 principles, including absolute party leadership over the military and improving living standards through development. One of the paragraphs reads, "Grandpa Xi Jinping is very busy with work, but no matter how busy he is, he still joins our activities and cares about our growth." There are also chapters on the Communist Party, which boasts of the CCP's achievements. It talks about the party's role in COVID and handling poverty alleviation.
I think this can help them understand China's state affairs. He is China's main leader at the moment, and his way of thinking indicates the path China will take and the direction society will move in the future. I think it is good to have the kids understand about this.
The new curriculum is part of a wider campaign aimed at the youth and directing aspects of their lives, ranging from how much time they spend online to which celebrities they follow. Some anonymous internet users have expressed concerns over the new syllabus, which they say is an attempt to brainwash children. And that is all we have time for on today's WION Live broadcast from London. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. I'm Ollie Barrett. Up next on WION is a special bulletin with a focus on climate change. For more global news and updates, do stay tuned to WION. World is One.
There are many other... this is right, Arab.
We're entering the military side of the Kabul airport. One of those moments for the Taliban that they have only been thinking of. And today is D-Day, when the Taliban are now ceased to have control over the entire country. I'm standing outside a hangar that says, "Warning, armed aircraft inside." What is it in this remaining hangar inside? Let's just have a look. The Taliban here claim and rather vow that they would be repairing all of these.